Hey guys, this is Tarot with Kittens, Weights, and Tarot, and I thought I would jump in on the Self-Love September, inspired by the lovely Kellyanne Maddox, who puts out so much good content, so much helpful content. She's definitely a counselor for the world, a healer for the world. Yeah, I love her. I love her channel. I love what she stands for. I love all the good positive energy that she puts out there so that people can take steps to heal themselves, because she's been in so many difficult places, herself. She has a unique advantage where she can see the dark places other people are in, and so she kind of can help, throw that rope down there and say, hey, I can help pull you out because I've been there too. And so yeah, so I thought I would just jump in. This is actually my first time ever doing like a self-love September thing. I've loved watching all the videos, but I've never done a video myself because it is a really vulnerable thing. I know that I watched Maha from Maha's Treasure Box, her channel, and if you don't know her, you need to totally visit her channel, but most people know who she is because she's an awesome, awesome person. And she's put out some very vulnerable content. You can tell that it's hard for her to talk about, and just seeing like Eveline from Eveline Timeless, she's put out some stuff, and and I know that it's really hard for for people to talk about things about from their personal life here on YouTube, because YouTube kind of goes out to the world, not thinking that like millions of people are going to watch my video, because they're probably not, but it's still a lot of people that I don't know personally that would be seeing this video. But I figure if the people that I admire most can make videos like that, then I would like to jump in too, not because I'm like, oh hey, like listen to my story, but more like, here's a little something about me. Maybe you've gone through something similar and this is how I got out of it, and maybe if you're still looking for a way out, like maybe this will help you. So I don't consider myself any type of counselor. I mean, I'm a high school teacher, and as a high school teacher we have many roles, like nurse, counselor, like tutor, all of this. So I think that kind of segues into what I do here on this channel, so, or at least it helps me. Let's dive into it. What I want to talk about, and I just want to keep them really short because I think I want to do these like once a week or maybe twice a week, just a really short little video of something that I went through and then kind of how I got out of it. So I want to go back to the year 2004 through 2006. So there was a couple years there that when I got out of my house back in 1999 and I went off to college, I was just always kind of like flailing and struggling because I hadn't really been out on my own, and my parents kind of did their best to make sure that I didn't know how to do things myself, and so it made life that much more difficult because it's like I was learning everything for the first time. And so sometimes that's how you gotta learn things, to sink or swim, and I'm tough enough where I learned how to swim, baby. But in that 2-year period of 2004 to 2006, it was right after I got my teaching credential, and I was kind of lost at that time. I didn't really know what to do. My very first teaching job didn't work out. It was a nightmare situation, and knowing what I know now, if me was in that situation, current me was in that situation now, I would have been like, oh hell no, I'm calling my union rep and but as like a 21-year-old, I didn't know all that stuff, so not going into too much detail. So I was like, oh my gosh, I can't be a teacher. So I was working at a bamboo store, which was kind of a good thing because I met the lady who I consider my Canadian mom, and she's a very, very dear, beloved person in my life, and I would have never met her had I not gone into hiding in a bamboo store. So I'm like in this bamboo store, and then and I'm like trying to make ends meet. I was dating this like douchebag in Orange County, and I like was dating him because I didn't want to live with some roommates. So it's like I like quickly moved in with this guy, and it was like I was making all these like crazy decisions, and it's like I was drowning in my life. I had no direction. I was like, I have a credential, I'm out of school, like what do I do? I don't know what to do. And if I fail at life, or if I fail at this, am I failing at life? And it's like, and I had all these like weird crazy jobs, and I mean, I met a lot of good people, but I just felt like I was drowning. I mean, I was trying to do that sink or swim thing. I'm trying to swim, but I felt like I was caught in like the rip current of my life, and I couldn't get out of it. And and I felt stuck with this person, that I didn't really even have a connection with anymore. And and this person was like the farthest person of like myself. They like to party, they like to do drugs, they love to drink heavily and get into fights, and like that's not me. And so I'm like trying to ignore all of this. I'm like, oh well, that's just how my life's gonna be. I'm just gonna be with this person, and I'm just gonna be in these like all these different jobs. And I'm and I felt like I already failed. Like I'll never be a teacher because I'm no good at it, because somebody who hates their life told me I was no good at it, but I didn't see it that way at the time. And so I was suffering from this really, really low self-esteem. I was in a really dark place. I didn't know what I was doing. I had dropped a ton of weight. I used to be this like, well, I am now, this big strong girl, but and I was always about my strength and my muscles, when I was in track and field in high school and in college. And in this 2-year period, I just like I dropped so much weight. I was like 129 pounds, which on me is like Skeletor, very weak, very frail, sick all the time. And I didn't realize that that was all a manifestation of how I was feeling. Now I know that in retrospect, because hindsight's 20/20, right? And I remember distinctly, I'm driving on the freeway one day, and I have my first panic attack. I thought something was wrong with me. I thought I was having a heart attack. I'd never felt this before. I felt like my vision had gone screwy. The sound of the engine of the car sounded weird all of a sudden. My hands got so clammy and cold, and my heart's racing. I'm like, oh my God. And I was so scared, and I didn't know what was going on. I start frantically screaming at cars to like, let me over, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't cause a car accident. And then after that, I was too scared to drive. Every time I drove, I would get these panic attacks, and then I would start getting anxiety about getting panic attacks, and I started getting them in public. I started getting them so often, so I was going to the doctor, and I was going to these groups, on like anxiety type groups on, and they said it was all stemming from anger, but I didn't know where my anger was stemming from. And it was like what my life was trying to do by giving me, in my vision, these panic attacks and these anxiety attacks. It was like, hey, stop and look at what's going on. You can't just keep floating around like this, and you can't just keep like swallowing it, being like, I'm gonna ignore, because then my body was like, nope, you can't ignore your life anymore. You can't ignore what's going on, because we're going to make you stop and literally shake with fear and figure out what's going on. So I made many doctor's visits. I made, then a lot of doctor's visits, a lot of therapy, and then I felt shame with therapy, because my family was not about that. There was a lot of shame, a lot of stigma with it. So then I felt even worse about myself, that, oh, like I'm so weak, I have to get therapy. And then one day I'm driving along, and I start feeling that panic attack come on, and I swear to God, it was like myself was sitting next to me in the passenger seat, and like it was me, but it was like a cool version of me. I mean, like, I'm cool, but cooler version, sitting with me in that passenger seat. And so then I was like, okay, what if I start talking nice to myself for once? Because I used to be very hard on myself, and I was like, I'm very supportive of all my friends, but I was really hard on me. Like, I couldn't mess up. Like, what's wrong with your face? Like, how come you can't do this? How come you don't look like this? Like, what's wrong with your muscles? They don't look like this girl's muscles. Or, why do you talk that way? You need to talk more eloquently, and yeah, I was not the nicest of cheerleaders. In fact, I was like a cheer downer with myself. And so all of a sudden, like on my own, I decided, okay, I'm going to pretend I see like the version of myself that I want to be. And every time I want to say something stupid to myself about how stupid I am or dumb or, weak, this person is going to say something nice to me, but it's me, and so this me sitting next to me is like the cheerleader. It's like, come on, you got this. It's like cheering for me at a track meet. It's like, you can drive, just, stay focused, breathe in, breathe out. And it was like I was coaching myself while I was driving, and it was working, so anytime I started getting those attacks, it was working. And then because I kind of refused to take the Xanax and things they were giving me because they didn't make me feel good, and they didn't take away any of my anxiety, and I kind of like reject mostly pills on principle. So then I noticed that this new way of counseling myself was actually working for me, and so then I started doing better in my groups, and it took probably 2 more years before finally my panic attacks and my anxiety went away fully. But other things in my life changed as a result. After talking to myself, in this cheerleader fashion of you can do it, it started spreading into other areas. I'd be in the bathroom brushing my hair, and at the time I had like really, really short hair, and I'd bleached it blonde, by the way. Talk about running from myself. And I started looking myself in the mirror, looking myself directly in the eye. And that was something I didn't like to do because I didn't like the girl that I saw in the mirror. And I started saying nice things to her. I was like, you know what? You got really pretty eyes. Like, psh. So I started with like superficial stuff, and then I started going deeper. It was like, you know what? That was a really nice thing you did for your friend. You don't have much cash, but helping your friend out, like, that was really good. So I started doing these little chats with myself, and it started changing my outlook and my decisions, and it started giving me more confidence in the things that I did. And so and then in the meantime, I found my current boyfriend. That's well, I mean, I had always known him. I'd known him, for forever in college, and and then 6 years later, after being friends for 6 years, we started dating. But I would have not have been ready for such a positive person had I not been okay with myself. I was searching for myself in other people, and you can't do that. You'll never find yourself. And so I had to I had to turn inward, find out who I was, what I wanted, learn that I was okay and I was strong enough being myself. I didn't need anybody else. And now, I love my boyfriend. I have a cat. I have, everything. But as my Chinese mother tells me, she says, you deep down, you don't need those things. She says, yes, it's awesome to have your boyfriend who's like your soulmate, and you guys are gonna grow old together and all that stuff. But if I were on my own, I'd be fine. And I know it deep down. I am like a million times stronger than I was before. And I'm not saying I'm perfect now. I still have my battles. But I'm in a much more positive headspace where I see when I'm going down that road now. Now it's not like I'm spiraling. It's like, oh shit. Like, I need like attitude adjustment, and sometimes it helps because my boyfriend who's down to earth, he's like, hey, like, you need to quit that shit, and I'm like, yeah. So yeah, what helped me kind of overcome my anxiety and my panic attacks, which, they were stemming from a lot of other things that were going on that I was ignoring in my life, was just basically cheerleading, coaching myself. I was my biggest, best coach. And, like I said, so that translated into saying kind things to myself in the mirror. Every time I did well, because then I started taking subbing jobs, which lasted like, 3-4 days before I became a permanent teacher, because somebody just picked me up right away. And I was like nervous about that, and I'd be like, oh, I'm not good. But then the other part of me was like, yeah, but like, somebody hired you. They hired you for a reason. Look how nice, they talk to you, and and look at all these new people that you're meeting. And so I would try to back it up with something good. And even to this day, I still like coach myself. I still cheerlead for myself. So, in my own eyes, you don't need an external cheerleader. You need an internal cheerleader or coach. I just thought I would share that with you guys. Ooh, it's like a little personal for Self-Love September. I don't know if any of you have gone through something similar, but I thought that this might help if I put it out there and kind of how I dealt with it, just having the personality that I have. So, anywho, if you have any comments about this, or you want to talk further about it, if you really are dealing with something and you just want to have a little chat, you could send it to my email, tara@kittenswaitsandtarot.com, or if you just want to leave a comment down below, that's perfectly fine as well. So anyway, if you like my little self-love video and you want me to do more of these, like, just give me a thumbs up so that I know, or again, just leave a comments down below, and I guess I'll catch you spiritual homies later. All right, thank you for watching. Peace, love, and chicken grease. Peace out.